Hey guys, this is Ethan with Flash Fitness, and I'm going to be showing you how to fully assemble the Flash F30 all-in-one Smith machine.
So the very first thing that you're going to want to do is to unwrap and fully lay out all the parts that come included with the F30. In regards to the hardware included with the F30, we're going to have a few different size bolts. For starters, the smallest one is going to be our M6 by 30. Then moving forward is the M10 by 70. After the M10 by 70 is the M10 by 80 bolts. After the M10 by 80, we will then have the M10 by 90, which are these. And then lastly, the longest ones are the M10 by 100s. The first step of building the F30 is to put together the base. Okay guys, so the base of the F30 has now been assembled. I just want to give you guys a closer up of the F30 so far. As you can see, it's very important that these back posts have the larger holes, 1 and 2, facing the outside of the machine. And these 3 rivets, 1, 2, 3, facing the outside. Same thing on this side over here. 1 hole, 2 on the outside, and the 3 rivets also facing the outside. Also guys, very important, do not tighten any of the screws until later on in the assembly process. So make sure as of now just to hand tighten all the screws. So now that the back posts have been installed, we'll now be installing the middle and the front uprights. Now that we have all 3 uprights installed, I also want to take a quick note to mention the same way the rivets were facing the outside on the back post, you want to make sure the middle post also has the rivets 1, 2, and 3 facing the outside of the machine. And then these 2 brackets, or these 2 screw brackets, are going to the back of the machine just like that. So now that we've installed the 3 uprights on both sides, the next step is going to be installing the logo plate cover. After installing the logo plate covers, the next step is going to be installing the weight plate storage horns. There's going to be 2 on both sides of the machine. So after installing the weight plate storage horns, we now will be installing the 2 vertical barbell storage posts. Once the vertical barbell storage tubes have been installed, we'll be moving on to installing the weight stack portion of the F30. At this point in time, I want to let you know, once the F30 has the weight stack put on, it will be extremely heavy to move. So before you put on the weight stack, make sure the machine is placed where you want it to stay, because after the weights are put on, like I said earlier, it would be extremely difficult to move. The first step of installing the weight stack for the F30 is to install the 2 metal guide rods that go on each end. You'll notice in the F30 there's 2 different sets of guide rods included. There's going to be the thicker ones and the thinner ones. There's going to be 4 thin ones in total. So those thin ones are going to be the ones for the weight stack. You're going to put 2 on each end. And then for the weight stack, what we're going to do is just slide the weights on one by one until we get to the 200 pounds per stack. You also need to install a rubber bumper on each one of the guide rods. When installing the weight stack, make sure that these 2 plastic bushings are facing upwards. And that goes for every single weight along the F30, that these 2 plastic bushings are facing upwards. And now we will repeat the same exact process, but on the other side. The first step of assembling the weight selector rod, you're going to be needing a hammer. All you're going to do is slide in the weight selector rod into the top weight block, and you're going to have this metal rod, and you're just going to hammer the metal rod into the top hole of the weight selector rod. So once the metal rod has been hammered into the top weight plate, this is how it should be looking like. Once the top weight has been put on, we're going to be moving on to the pulley bracket. For the pulley bracket, we need to remove this top pulley. Okay, so now that the pulley has been removed, we're going to slide on the metal weight pin, just like so. And now we're going to grab our pulley bracket and our black Allen bolt. There's only 2 of these in the entire F50. Once we have the pulley bracket installed, make sure for this step to fully tighten that Allen bolt. Once that Allen bolt has been tightened, we can put the pulley back to its original position. Now that we have the header weight plate assembled, we can go ahead and just put it on top of the other weights. The next step is going to be putting on these 2 guide rod pegs onto each guide rod. So what you want to do is you want to slide it on, just like so. And after installing the guide rod pegs, the next step is going to be installing this bracket that holds together the middle and the back upright. As you can see, this bracket has been installed. Just a quick note, do not put in these bolts just yet. So as of now, just tighten it to this middle upright. Just put in the bolts for this middle upright, but not the back upright. Also, as you can see, I put in the bolts for these 2 guide rod pegs. So just hand tighten these guide rod pegs like so, and then make sure these screws are facing up. The next step is going to be installing the rear cross member. So now that the rear cross member has been installed, we can move on to installing the F30 pulley trolleys. Now that the pulley trolleys have been put on, we can install the pulley brackets. The next step is going to be installing the Smith machine portion of the F30. For the first step of the Smith machine assembly, we're going to be installing the Smith machine storage hook pegs. Okay guys, now that we've installed the Smith machine storage pegs, we will now be installing these bottom brackets. Now that we've installed the 2 brackets here at the bottom, we'll be installing this piece right here. Okay guys, now that we've installed these bottom brackets, 2 on each side, along with those small little pieces, 1 on each side, the next step will be hooking on the Smith machine bar. For now, we'll just rest the Smith machine bar on one of these hooks near the bottom. So as you can see, we now have the Smith machine bar hooked, and now we'll be grabbing the thicker set of guide rods. And now with this thicker set of guide rods, we'll just be inserting it through the Smith machine bearing. By the way guys, if any of these small metal beads fall out when installing the Smith machine, that's completely normal. It's nothing to be worried about. There's hundreds of them in there. So if a few of these small beads, I'm not too sure if you can see it, of these metal beads fall out when installing the Smith machine, like I said, it's nothing to be worried about. Okay guys, now that we've inserted the guide rods through both ends of the Smith machine, the next step is going to be installing the safety catches for the Smith machine. This is the order that you want to install the safety catch for the Smith machine. First, the rubber bumper, then the metal washer, after the metal washer, the spring, and after the spring, the safety catch hook. And now we'll just repeat the same process, but on the other side. Now that we've installed the safety catches for the Smith machine, The Smith machine portion of the install is finished, and now we can go back to building the frame of the F30. The next step is going to be installing these top overhead brackets. Now that we've finished installing the top brackets, we can move on to installing the pull-up bar. Okay guys, now that we've installed the pull-up bar grips, the frame part of the F30 has been completely finished, and now we're just on to the final stretch of the assembly. So right now, we're just going to focus on installing the cables for the F30. The first step for the cable routing is grabbing this end of the cable, the hook end, and feeding it in between these two pulleys, just like so. After we fed it through, we're going to go over this top pulley. Now we've got it over this top pulley, we're going to go over this top rear pulley. Okay guys, so now that we fed it in between these two pulleys right here, over this top pulley, through the top, over this pulley, we're going to feed it down, just like so. Now we're going to go under and over this pulley right here and feed it back up. And now we're going to go over this pulley right here, through out this beam. And we're going to go under these two pulleys that we previously installed. And finally, we're going to end the cable right here in the back. Okay guys, to give you a quick rundown in case I lost you earlier. So we started by feeding the cable in between these two pulleys right here. And then we went up and over this top pulley. We brought the cable throughout here to the back and over this pulley. And we went down, 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 under and over right here. Then back up, over this pulley, throughout here, over this pulley. And the cable's right here. We fed it right through here. We fed it down, down, under these two pulleys. And then we go back up and end just right here. And now we'll repeat the same cable routing process just for the opposite side. Now that cables have been installed, we can move on to tightening all the nuts and bolts on the F30. Alright guys, now that we've finished fully tightening all the nuts and bolts, it's time to install the cover plate panels. Now that we've installed the cover panels, we can now install stickers for the weight stack. Okay guys, so now that we put on the stickers for the F30, we're just about finished. The last step is just to put on all the included attachments that you get with the F30.
guys, the F30 assembly has now officially been completed. I hope this video helped you out throughout the assembly process of your F30. If you still have any more questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments or give us an email at support@flashfitnesstx.com. Thank you.